Seriously, stop deadlifting until you address these pieces. Sure, you can deadlift if you enjoy it and find benefit. As I always say in my videos, stop this or that, and then the caveat of watching the entire video and fixing up some other aspects that are often overlooked and that result in wear and tear and even major issues. The truth is that we've heard from literally hundreds of subscribers on our growing channel alone, as well as the students in Pacific Rim Athletics, about the many weightlifting issues, including from deadlifts. Simple fact is that a lot of pro athletes do not even use this lift because the risk to reward ratio is a joke, to use their words. But I'll show you 3 little weird moves that you might not know about that we use all the time to maintain very high levels of strength and skill for longevity, and that'll actually increase a person's deadlift if they choose to continue doing it. Yes, when people use bad form, they're likely to end up with problems. But there's also many who practice with great form and crap happens. Everything from broken backs to torn tendons in their arms. We're talking fractions of an inch, so no matter how good form is, crap can happen. And if you do decide to not do this move anymore, don't worry. There's plenty of ways to keep up endocrine health and overall strength. Don't be deceived. And there's incredible levels of power and force that you can achieve without even touching a weight. Like a round-off backflip exposes the body to 14 times body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, that's almost 3,000 pounds of force. Box jump downs can be up to 2, 3, even 10 times body weight, depending on the height of the drop and the weight of the person. Like jumping down or a flip down from a ledge will be 300, 500, even 1,000 pounds of force. Rebounding, vaulting, and jumps are some of the more tame ways to train too, plus partner squats, partner lunges, and more. But these are not the moves that I'm going to show you today. The 3 weird moves I'm going to show you will be far simpler and actually quite advantageous for anyone, any age, any level, and any sport, from ball sports to bodyweight like powerbatics. First weird move. It might surprise you, but actually doing a deadlift with completely horrible form will make you 10 times stronger, and it'll improve your actual deadlift if you still want to do that lift. I call it a body roll. Others call it a Jefferson curl. Personally, I do 10 reps with a decent amount of weight before any land training, especially if I'm going to be doing anything high impact like tumbling or katas, which are routines of strength and skill in powerbatics. But that's a separate topic. Now listen, don't make the mistake of thinking that videos are instruction. That's a surefire way to get stuck, frustrated, and injured. Find a good community and coach. And when you start doing this move, you don't just dive into doing it with a barbell loaded with weight. You do just body weight, legs straight, rounded back like a candy cane. It took me a while, but I worked my way up to full body weight or maybe a little over on the bar. And what happened? My deadlift went up whenever I was doing it, and my back felt great. Plus the flexibility in my hamstrings was monumentally more significant. Not only that, but when in real life do you actually ever do anything resembling a deadlift? Grappling, wrestling, and martial arts, you don't pick up a person in a deadlift position. It'll be at all kinds of weird angles and a rounded back. Real life movement you won't either. It's always these awkward angles like changing a tire or throwing out the trash. Body rolls and weird training like this is the only thing that builds holistic strength. When it's done for reps, it's strengthening the core and the lower back as well as the hamstrings. It's also training the pike shape. This will carry right on over into athletics. For example, a person will now have the mobility to get into a V-stand shape. Or if you're tumbling, you'll be able to pull a tuck or a pike in your flip even better. And when it's done for static holds, it's just straight flexibility training. In fact, nobody should ever sit down and try to touch their toes again. It's the dumbest thing in the world, and I'll just blame public school PE classes for that foolishness. You need to be in a position where gravity or whatever force holds us to the earth can actually do its best job. A seated toe touch will do nothing, and your body will spring out of that position like a mousetrap unless you already have the flexibility and the upper body strength to hold it while sitting down. But if that's the case, there's still other things that more advanced folks should be doing, like inverted pike stretching on the stall bars and straddled inverted pike stretching on the stall bars. The body roll position, however, puts you in the best leverage position to get the most out of your hamstrings and lower back. We'll have students stand on a ledge and hold this position for 2, 3, even 5 minutes at a time. You know what's cool is that even folks who have never been able to touch their toes in their life, after one session of this, they're stretched out like gum and their hands can touch the the floor. And then there's also the principle of generalization. In other words, do this sideways training through the obliques and lower back. Similarly, when you generalize a principle, its extrapolation likewise also carries over to more advanced progression. And in this case, a sideways body roll eventually becomes a human flag. But fair warning, it is not easy. We can help people do it safely and constantly make progress though, because we know when to push them further and even more importantly, when to pull them back. Second weird move. Do you know that deadlifts are responsible for more damage than just lower back stuff, and that people rip tendons in their arms doing deadlifts? And ask a person with a really big deadlift to do a skin the cat or a German hang, and they might not be able to. Another fact is that the highest performing weightlifters in the world over in Europe and Asia don't start on weighted bars, but rather body weight. At minimum, they're doing it simultaneously. And the skin the cat to German hang is basically flipping the body roll / Jefferson curl over upside down, and inside of all the pressure going into a person's hamstrings and lower back, it's putting all that pressure on the bicep tendons that connect at the shoulder and elbow. A lot of times shoulder pain isn't even shoulder pain, it's bicep pain up at the origin. Now you can't just hop into this move because there is risk, but you can build toward it using bands or back lever rows. On top of that, it requires a lot of core strength plus all of the mobility built in the body rolls to bring the legs up and then compress and pull the legs through. Just like any training, this can be reps or static. It can also tie into other moves as part of katas, like a ninja strength element of Powerbatics. But people often stay in the mainstream and not truly experience what's possible. A lot of times it's because of decades of marketing fitness to the masses that watered down a whole culture of brains and bodies. A lot of it from sedentary lifestyles and simply not knowing what to do. And let's be real, picking up a bar, or at least by appearance, is very simple, easy, and straightforward. However, when you get into movement, strength, mobility, skill, and start using your body like it was designed, deadlifts and mainstream things are demystified, and we can view them as tools if we want to use them, along with moves like these that help you really build a solid holistic foundation. Remember hanging from the monkey bars when you were a kid, doing all these wild and crazy things and not even thinking about your body? That's the ultimate goal, freedom of movement. The bigger you get and the older you get, we just want to continue stacking strength and skill on top of that. Like Marty here, who went from herniated discs to actually building some solid upper body and core strength as a new foundation as he gets into his 50s. He's even building muscle ups and doing free run katas. Third weird move. The Stalder press handstand uses the same mobility and motion as the previous two moves, but flips the skin the cat back over and turns it into a pushing movement for the whole upper body, as well as massive core strength. And if you don't think this deals with the legs, you're sadly mistaken. Typically, we start with frog stands and press handstands to build the upper body strength, coupled with seated Stalder pulses at high volume, like 50 reps or more. Again, try those reps and tell me your legs don't get it. Or pulling up through the Stalder to the handstand doesn't immediately cramp your legs up like you've never felt before. Now, think about this. Imagine taking all three of these moves and putting them into a strength circuit. And not only that, but remember how I mentioned the high force leg training that doesn't require deadlifts but deals with even higher levels of forces on the body that will do the same things to the nervous system, endocrine system, and overall strength, like box jump downs or rebounding, or heck, if you're advanced enough, flips off the block or full out tumbling. And combine that with the three moves here. Now, how do you implement? How do you really put it all together? Of course, subscribe, but it's totally free to actually opt in and connect with me and my team, get more info, free videos, student success stories, email trainings, and even information about events and competitions for huge cash prizes and travel events like the one coming up in Spain in a few weeks. But more importantly, it starts with a mindset of positivity and inserting simple changes in your training like we've discussed here. You could even schedule a complimentary coaching call. It's absolutely free, but you do need to qualify. The reason I built this is because I saw the limitation in physical therapy on the one end, where they weren't allowed to train a person back to full power, and at the opposite end, where usually coaching and bodyweight type athleticism is reserved for children, and then they go and burn them out. And then training adults is a whole different ballgame. But if you do want to train with us, you'll be able to dive in literally in the next 24 to 48 hours and be working with me and my team of doctorate physical therapist coaches, and you'll make more progress in the next 2 weeks than in the past 2 decades. And we've seen that repeatedly. I'm just trying to show you what you can really achieve. And it starts starts with adding these little pieces like these 3 weird moves to your training. And if you add things like body rolls, skin the cats, and Stalders to your training, I promise you, you're gonna see massive changes in your health, your strength, and your movement. See you in the next video and in training soon.